Hello once again. It's me, Harrison Hatch.
And me, Chase Fisher, your ever helpful pre-cal geniuses.
Alright, let's get started. Today we will be looking at an example of a tangent graph.
Sounds great, Harrison. Let's break out the paper.
Here you go, Chase.
Very good. Okay, so first, let's look at an equation. Y equals tangent of x plus pi. That's pi there. Okay, so from here, let's go ahead and find the four main values of the equation. A, B, H, and K. Okay, so firstly, let's find the A in front of the tangent. So that's going to be equal to a 1. The B can be found in front of the X, which is also equal to 1. Now, the H, we would normally, sometimes, have to factor out the number that's in front of the X, the B value, but in this case it's 1, so we don't have to do that. So simply the H value is going to be equal to negative pi, because the H value is always the opposite sign of what's inside the parentheses. Now, for the K value, nothing is added or subtracted to the equation as a whole, so that's going to be equal to 0. Now, before we go any farther, let's go ahead and find the amplitude as well as the period.
Remember, the amplitude is always a positive if it's a negative in front of it, but in this case we're still okay because the A value is a positive.
Exactly. So the amplitude is going to be equal to 1. Now, the period is going to be equal to 2 pi over the absolute value of the B value. So that's going to be 2 pi over 1, which is equal to 2 pi. Okay, now from here, given this 2 pi period, we can find the tick marks on the actual graph. Okay, so the first is going to be equal to...
Don't you have to start finding tick marks with dividing the period by 4?
Exactly. So 2 pi over 4 is equal to pi over 2. So the tick mark width would be pi over 2. Now, the first tick mark, we're actually going to start at negative pi because the graph was translated negative pi to the left, or pi to the left. So, negative pi is our first tick mark, which would be equal to negative 2 pi over 2. Now the second would be equal to negative 2 pi over 2 plus that tick mark width of pi over 2. So, negative pi over 2. Now the third would be negative pi over 2 plus pi over 2, which is equal to 0. Now, the fourth would be 0 plus pi over 2, which is equal to pi over 2. Fifth would be equal to pi over 2 plus pi over 2, which is equal to 2 pi over 2, which is equal to pi. And then lastly, one more, 2 pi over 2 plus pi over 2 is equal to 3 pi over 2. So we've got a good amount of tick marks here that we can go and start our graph. So negative pi and negative pi over 2 are already on here. And then here's 0, of course. And then after that, we can go pi over 2.
When we add another pi over 2, we get pi.
And then lastly, 3 pi over 2. Okay, now because this is a tangent graph, we have to see where the asymptotes are. Now, because it was translated a whole value of pi, we can go ahead and assume that the asymptotes are going to be here at negative pi over 2 and pi over 2, as well as 3 pi over 2. Okay, now the tangent graph is going to start going up from this negative pi up towards the asymptote. And then here, at the origin, it's going to go down and then up here. Now notice that the amplitude is 1 in this case. So, at negative pi over 4 and pi over 4, the graph is going to be equal to negative 1 or 1. Okay. Now we can go ahead and do this third. Okay. And then also there and there. So we went ahead and just graphed this one different cycle of the tangent graph. So here we go.
What the heck? That was so easy. Way more simple than I thought it was in math class.
Yep, all it takes is a little bit of determination and hydration.
Hydration is key, kids. Remember that.
Good job, guys. Thanks for the water.